Hi, welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller,
Forgot your last name.
where we are bringing the future. And what do we mean by that? Bringing the future.
Well, actually, we're bringing what's happening now in the next couple of weeks.
And I would say that it has to, because our guides have told us to use that. We are bringing the future of humanity in how to think conceptually. And so we're trying to connect the dots for people to see the bigger picture. So today we're going to be talking about deception.
Deception abounds everywhere.
And how do we see through the deception to find the truth?
If there is a truth that can be found. But the deception could be so deep all around us.
Entrenched.
Entrenched that we may not find the truth.
It's going to be difficult.
Right away.
Oftentimes, and we've said this before many times, is that the event happens and then we're stunned by it and we're scrambling to understand what just happened. And so we're working kind of in reverse in trying to gain an understanding.
Well, deception will influence the outcome of the event, or the truth will influence the outcome of the event. And of any event, it doesn't make them concerning, it doesn't concern one particular event, any event.
So it really depends on our level of understanding of that event. So that is going to determine, our decision making is going to determine what happens with the event. And so the more that we understand, the more educated decisions we make, the more we control the parameters of the event. The less we understand, the event becomes a learning lesson.
Well, that controls the events such as the election of a president of a local PTA school, all the way up to the president of these United States and all that in between.
And it really gets down to our research and our ability to connect the dots, which is the conceptual learning.
Well, when people run for any office, whether it be dog catcher or PTA president, everyone has their own agenda of why they're running for that position. And we have found out over the years, the majority, not all, but the majority is based on deception of to their agenda. In other words, they're going to explain their agenda to a point of deceiving those that are voting for them. And that is in all elections, not all, the majority of elections.
You have some people who are really of the heart.
Honest, yeah.
And it's important to find those people because they will be acting out of their heart. And you get other factors involved as far as what they're up against and also how motivated they are, how much energy they have, and those sort of issues.
It's so refreshing when you find somebody whose honesty comes from the heart. And whether you agree with their
philosophies,
heartfelt truth, it's a good thing to be able to find somebody who holds the truth.
And who's not manipulating.
Right.
Yeah, because right now there's a lot of agendas and there's a lot of deception and there's a lot of manipulating that has occurred over many years. And it's really culminating right now. We're at a very pivotal point in our history. Well,
there's so many fronts on this thing. It's hard to determine where you're really at.
Yeah, and even with our own guidance, our guides, they give us clues, but they do not spell it all out because there's valuable learning to be had, even for us, in trying to find the truth. And the other thing is that oftentimes we don't always accept the truth when it's being told to us.
Well, because our understanding is so narrow.
Yes.
And we've brought down the possibilities of something. We don't think openly. We don't open our minds to all the different possibilities or options that are available. We narrow everything down to what we think, and this way it creates less options available to us.
So humanity is kind of stuck in a box of thinking, and we don't recognize all the parameters that exist around events and around our decision making too. So what is happening now and what has been happening is not really what we think is happening. So we're watching things, we're watching the news, we're seeing from our biases, but what is really happening is most likely something completely different. And we've discovered that through our own personal guidance through the ancients, that when we think it's one thing happening, they shed a completely different light on the situation. And so there's many fronts to look at, many different angles to look at, but usually, everything that's playing out here on the earth and these events is all for our enlightenment, and it's for our awakening, and it's on a spiritual level.
And unfortunately, at least 50% or more, I don't know the exact percentage, are tied to their understanding or their misunderstanding.
Their
and
biases.
Tied to their emotion. It's not tied to fact. It's not tied to research. It's not tied to any part of what they should be doing. It's the way I feel. That person looks nice. That person acts nice. It's all based on your emotion.
It's based on our own unique past experiences.
And you should never, ever, ever vote on your emotion.
So when we talk about controlling the parameters of outcomes, we have to do our homework. We have to do the research, and we have to start looking at things in a much bigger way, connecting the dots, finding out, for example, you had brought up elections, finding out about people, going back in news articles, searching voting histories. There's a lot we can discover about people, even when you start researching how they voted, but also who supports them. And you go back in those people's history, you have a relationship there, but who are they making their friends with, and what are they about?
So, for instance, this is just something that I'm going to give an example. You voted for a particular PTA president or voted for a particular teacher to head something up, and because you thought they were nice looking and they talked well, but you didn't do any research. Then come to find out, after they've been voted into office, they were a pedophilia. And you have probably a 6, 7, 8, or 9-year-old going to that school. How would you feel knowing your child now is in prospective danger of being approached by this individual who you just voted in? In other words, you have to do your research to find out the character of any person running for any office, no matter what it is.
And I have to say, too, is that there's a lot of groups that they understand the power of emotion and how they can use it to sway a population in the way that they think. So we have to be cognizant of that, too, is that how are we being manipulated? How are our emotions being manipulated to a certain outcome in our decision-making process? So we have to look at that aspect also.
It's up to you to connect the dots. I know that's going to take some time and it's somewhat difficult, but to get to the truthful person that you really want into society and take care of your children or your grandchildren, you have to connect these dots.
Yeah, so it means stepping aside from our emotional aspect, at least to some degree, and doing our research, putting the time in to make an educated decision to the best of our knowledge based on what information we have available to us. And, let's face it, Google is it's a resource. So we can find a lot of things that way. So it really gets down to how much time does one want to invest in their decision making.
Now, people say we're in very unusual times. Well, it may not be as unusual as you think. When you look back 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, and the things that people got away with, people didn't talk about it with each other. People did not wake up. So this may not be as unusual as you think.
I think it's unusual in the fact that we have so many conflicting agendas going on that the truth doesn't really exist.
It can't raise its head.
It's very hard to shine the light on the truth. And so this period of time is also about our awakening. And how can we awaken if we don't accept the truth that's presented to us and we're not searching for the truth? Mm-hmm. So for people who want to know the truth, you're going to go searching for it, and you'll make a better decision in whatever you're doing, election or otherwise.
Right. And there's certain people that are here, or certain entities that tend to control other humans, control the way they think, control the way they vote, control the way they look at event outcomes. They are not here to help mankind.
But there's also other ones that are here that normally do not incarnate here on Earth, that are here to move humanity forward.
So you got to keep your mind open.
Yes,
have to open your
you
mind
do.
And do your own research.
So when we look at somebody, we have certain expectations for how they behave and what they're doing. But because we live in these unusual times and humanity's path is being completely remolded and redirected, there may be some unusual maneuvers made toward humanity to get us to look at the bigger picture in a very unconventional way. So these beings have come here to move us and use tactics that we would consider not only unconventional, but that that they may not be really accepted either, as far as what we would expect a particular person to behave like.
Yeah, if you live on emotion, if you do everything by emotion, you're open to them taking over your thoughts and directing you the way they want you
and
to go.
Being manipulated.
Right, being manipulated. So move away from the group think, and don't believe necessarily what everyone else believes. Oh, that person over there, they're for the LA Lakers, and they voted for this particular person in the school council. So I'm going to vote for them too because I'm a Lakers fan. That is groupthink. We do not want humans to survive as a groupthink
society,
because you will fail as humans.
Yeah, so it's time to think for yourself. It's time to move away from what society is putting on us, the way that society tends to form our way of thinking, and the pressures that are made upon us as far as our own decision making. And we have to be able to form our own opinions, to gather our own data, to connect the dots, and to form our own belief system based on the information we've gathered and based on that quiet going within too, where it's not influenced by our bias, it's not influenced by our emotion, but it is coming from outside of ourselves, that gives light to looking at something in a completely different way, and that kind of opens up that picture a little bit more so that we can see it in a different way. And that's accomplished by just being quiet and really allowing that information to come in, and new thoughts to develop within that help us to see things in a different way.
Yeah, we are available for discussion groups, or I say intuitive discussions with groups. We don't charge anything for our discussions. We put out, what do you think about this or this, and we explain a little bit about it, and we try to get the group to add to it, or to discuss certain factors within their realm, within their experiences. And we will travel just about anywhere in the United States right now.
Or we do Zoom.
or do Zoom, yeah.
That's probably the safer option right now.
Safer option. But we do, we used to call them lectures, but lectures is such an antiquated form. I call them inspirational talks.
Yeah, so you can leave a comment down below, and you can also contact us on our website, verdience.com. And there's a tab there that says contact us. Just click over on that and you can contact us that way.
Yeah, so if you want us to come talk to a group of at least a minimum of 12 in the group, we can do a Zoom, or as this coronavirus wanes out, we can fly to your location or drive a lot.
He doesn't fly. He's not telling you the truth.
But see, I will fly it some very long.
And you know, that's part of this whole deception thing, is calling out the truth. So when you see the truth and you know the truth, call it out. Thank you for joining us. And as always, peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Have a great day. Bye.